So dunking has been a New Year's resolution of mine for 20 years. And it's November 16th, I believe, today. So it's not looking good for 2023 either. So this is not me. This is my high school basketball teammate, Mike, who was the best player on our team, played in college, and immediately after his college playing career ended, had a cardiac event and now lives with a pacemaker. Pacemakers keep our loved ones alive, Mike, our sons, our grandmothers, our aunts. But the shortcoming of these devices is that every 5 to 10 years, the battery runs out. And when that battery runs out, we have to replace it through an invasive surgery. So for someone like Mike, that means he's looking at 5, maybe 10 surgeries in his lifetime just to replace the battery. And every time he goes to the hospital for this surgery, it's invasive, it's dangerous. He's thinking about his family, about what comes that day after the surgery for him and for the rest of his life. And pacemakers aren't the only electrical device that we use to treat ailments and life-threatening conditions. We use electricity to treat diabetes, pain, seizures, depression. All of these are used with these magical bioelectronic devices inside the body. But all of these have the same shortcoming. They have a battery. We need to get energy to that battery. And today, most of them are replaced using an invasive surgery when that battery runs out, or with a driveline that's permanently installed in the stomach and gets infected in about 20% of patients that have it every year. We launched Resonant Link right out of Dartmouth, out of Professor Charlie Sullivan's lab at Thayer 6 years ago, to make all of our active implantable devices rechargeable in the next decade. We are founded out of this innovation on the left here, the multi-layer self-resonant structure, or the MSRS is an easier one to remember. And this gives us 5 times lower power loss than other wireless chargers on the market. So we can non-invasively power these devices inside the body, these pacemakers, these neurostimulators, these heart pumps, while losing 5 times less power, which means we can charge them faster in 20 minutes instead of 4 or 5 hours. We can enable completely new treatments through miniaturization, and we can make pacemakers, like the one that Mike lives with, completely rechargeable for the rest of their lives. Using this technology platform, we're making these rechargeable devices, we're making these medical devices rechargeable in the next decade. And we're also working on the coming global health crisis of climate change through electrification. So we're not just bringing this to medical devices, we're bringing this to medical devices, to flying drones, to electric vehicles. But that's kind of a story for another time. So going back to these active implantables, these pacemakers, these neurostimulators, these heart pumps, we think of them as fundamentally energy transfer devices, maybe a little engineering centric. But the goal of one of these is to get electricity from somewhere out in the world. It might be the grid, it might be a battery outside your body, and deliver this to a measurement site to take an important measurement, to a treatment site to deliver electrical stimulation, or to do some sort of blocking or diagnostics. And really this energy transfer impacts how the patients live with these devices. We call it the patient experience, but it's really the day-to-day how a patient lives having one of these devices implanted. And the most important piece of this energy transfer process is how we get energy from outside the body to inside the body. How we charge that battery that's implanted with the pacemaker, or don't charge it and replace it with an invasive surgery. So there's really 3 ways we can get energy inside the body. One of them is we can have a battery replacement surgery. It's dangerous, it's invasive. For some devices, it's just not possible because you'd have to have surgery every week to recharge that battery. And so for those, right now they're either wirelessly charged, slowly, inconveniently, as we'll get to later, or you have a driveline that lives in your stomach and makes bathing walking, just living life without an infection really difficult. And so what we're focused on at Resonant Link is making this whole patient experience less invasive and more convenient. When we think about these three mechanisms that we might get energy inside the body, you've got your most invasive, your most inconvenient. That's surgery every 5 years, every 10 years, 10 times in your life. You've got a drive line that you have to live with every day, what is an open wound in the stomach, making sure it's clean, going to the hospital for infections, and sometimes replacing the entire device for a heart pump. And then we've got wireless power, which we see as the most non-invasive and the most convenient, but the chargers on the market today are slow, they're difficult to line up, and they're actually the #1 patient complaint for many devices that are out there today. So when we talk to people, when we tell this story about what we're doing, people say, yeah, my wife lives with a spinal cord stimulator, and every day when she tries to recharge it, she gets so frustrated. You're trying to align something on your body that you can't feel, that's implanted somewhere an inch, 2 inches, 3 inches inside your body, and you have to line up this external coil within a millimeter or two. And for this partner that we talk about here, every day she gets so frustrated, she gives up. She's like, I don't care, I'll live with the pain. And then her husband, who's one of our partners, has to come and help her line it up. So now you have someone else trying to line this up inside someone's body where they can't see the device and they have to get it within a millimeter. So what happens is that doctors just don't prescribe rechargeables to the patients that are most in need. Geriatric patients, other people that they don't think can live with that frustration or get these devices lined up, end up getting primary cell devices or non-rechargeable devices, and then they have to go in for a surgery for our highest risk patients. And so this is really what we're solving at Resonant Link. It's how can we make wireless power the standard of care that patients can live their lives with and not have to go in for these dangerous surgeries while opening up new treatments. So on this path of making every implantable device rechargeable in the next decade, we're already on our way to accomplishing our mission. This week, we just signed up our 25th OEM partner that's designing our wireless charging into their devices. We work with everyone from small startups to big OEMs, from tiny devices that can be injected through a needle, all the way up to these high power platforms that can power heart pumps. And I want to talk through a few of the case studies that we're already starting to see being adopted to transform that patient experience and make rechargeable the standard of care. This was actually our first program ever as a company after we spun out of Dartmouth, and this was with Abbott Labs to make their heart pump or a ventricular assist device rechargeable. So you can read the academic literature. Since the 1960s, people have been dreaming of a fully implanted heart pump that right now is powered through one of those drive lines. And because we're trying to send tens of watts of power inside the body, it's really hard to do that efficiently enough without heating up the temperature and exceeding the FDA limits. So in just 9 months with Abbott, we took something that's been impossible for over half a century and delivered something that they have a path to market to, and they have FDA breakthrough device designation for. For our partner Paradromics, which is a brain-computer interface company, they need both high data rate and high power for that brain-computer interface, the diagnostics and the stimulation there. Because our charging is so robust and so reliable, they were actually able to completely eliminate the battery inside the body, power their device entirely externally, and get a much shorter path to market through a separate FDA approval process if you don't have an implant battery. We can miniaturize devices. I mentioned our newest one, which is so small it can be injectable. This is a 3 millimeter diameter coil or an implant that's as small as the nose on a penny, we like to say. And what happens when you miniaturize is you can place these treatments closer to the site where you'd want to deliver the electrical stimulation, closer to the spinal cord, closer to the heart. And that means we can completely eliminate the failure node of the leads that you have to run from a traditional large implant over to where you want to deliver that diagnostic or that stimulation. And lastly, we just launched a platform that we want to bring to every device on the market. All the neurostimulators out there, all of the cardiac rhythm management devices. And for people like Mike, who texts me every month, to the pacemakers making those rechargeable finally. He texts me, hey, is my next pacemaker gonna be rechargeable? You have 5 years, you have 4 years, you have 3 years. And this is the platform that we want to bring to that market, taking charge time down from 2, 3, 4 hours to 20 minutes. So you can do it in a clinician visit, or you can do it at home while patients can continue to live their lives. So our goal is to make the next decade of implant devices rechargeable. And we're excited to do this through enabling new treatments, making wireless power the dominant way for patients to recharge that battery inside their body, and enabling completely new treatments with this power paradigm. So thanks for joining me, and looking forward to making all of our implants rechargeable.